So for those of you who haven't watched Swordfish already, please go watch it. It's a really good movie. But there's a lot of problems when it comes to hacking in this particular movie, and I'm going to cover them. So let's watch one of the first scenes.
45 seconds. Too bad. You gotta die. No, wait. I was just fucking with you, Stan.
Yeah, so this first part, it kind of says it all with this entire video or entire movie. Is the fact is there's a lot of gibberish. I haven't had to do a freeze frame to figure out what is on the screen in the first place. And taking a look at it, there's a few problems I see. Is they try to make things look, and it's quite interesting. They try to make it look like it's somewhat legit, at least if it's on the screen for like a split second. You'll say, "Oh, that's the IP address," or "Oh, that's this, that's that." So you know, if you're an IT person, you can recognize some of the stuff, but it's not on there long enough to say, "Hey, a second, that's not a real IP address, or that's not a real command, or something like that." So with that being said, it's all gibberish out through. But there's a few problems I see here with this. And by the way, the attack type that it looks like they're trying to go through is what's called a brute force attack. What a brute force attack is basically, oh, I want to crack into a password or something. I'll just have a program keep trying until it breaks through. So that's something that's not used that common, because it's, at least in today's world, in higher end settings, it's not used that common, because you got logs that can trigger, or alerts that can trigger, and a few other things that can come up. If a user tries to log in multiple times, the system may lock them out, stuff like that. So you got problems that can arise from doing that. So the more common today is social engineering, and I have videos all into that on my main channel. But with this one in mind, it looks like they're trying to do some brute force attack, but on the left side of the screen, it's completely gibberish. There is stuff like IP config and stuff like that, so you might see like the first line where it says config, and seeing it for a split second, you say, oh, that might be legit, unless if you actually take a look at it, it's like, hold on a second, these aren't real commands. And then with the IP addresses, it's obvious whoever made this interface for the movie, they know what IP address is, but none of these are legit. At least I checked the first few, and they weren't legit at all. They were considered as invalid, and you know, without looking too deep into it, it's like, oh yeah, networking, I could tell you why. But with that, I can tell you that the person who did make the interface has a basic understanding of what things should look like, but maybe it's because hacking's boring and they decided to go this route that they done this. But for the most part, no, this would not be how it was done. So as far as that goes, let's go a little bit further. And here's an example. Just going through, scrolling on my end, trying to find scenes to just talk about this. This is a major thing on this movie. They in a lot of movies, they do this where they show things that might be legit or are legit, but they show it for split seconds and it has nothing to do with what they're working on. So you got literally the guy, he's trying to hack into the Treasury Department, and yet the support save cells. Why would Treasury Department have cells? And so on. Okay, these things are not going to be there for the first place. And the second thing is a tactic that's used in this and many other movies is that they show things for a split second, and maybe blue text, green text, or something like that with a black background, and basically the average person, they're not going to be able to. In fact, even someone who actually knows their stuff, it is shown so quickly that they won't be able to tell what's being on screen. But the average person, even if they looked into it, they really wouldn't know what they're looking at. So they'll say, "Oh, yeah, sure, that's legit." When you got someone like myself, no. So yeah. Last thing I'll mention with this one scene is any movie or anything that says access granted, or even access denied, but access granted, after you successfully logged in or got in of something through one of these type of things, they don't know what it will actually look like. Basically, what would happen is it's not a video game. Well, in this case, what they're showing kind of looks like it, but it's not a video game in real life. Basically, what you have is if you're trying to get into a system, in how a administrator would remotely get into the system, having a thing blasting and blinking text access granted across the screen, that's not helpful for the administrator. They can't do their job. They have to get rid of that. So what happens in the real world is they instantaneously go into, it's like when you go log into your mail, does it say access granted? When you go on YouTube, Facebook, or whatever, and go to a given page, does it says access granted? No, because it's just stupid for that. It's just stupid, and they try to make it look too much like a game. So in this particular scene, it's one of the most famous scenes in this movie. The fact is malware doesn't look anything like that. All it is code. On my main channel, I actually have videos showing people how to write code, teaching people from day one how to write code type of stuff. And the fact is that's what it looks like when you're making malware. And the user interface and all that stuff, that's just someone with pretty good skills back in the day put that together for that movie, and that's it. There's nothing more, nothing less to it. As far as what's going on with the cube, I don't know. Keep in mind, all this stuff is virtual, so shapes and crap like that doesn't matter so much for stuff that's virtual. That's just for our convenience. But in the real world, just making malware, it's just code. It doesn't look nothing like this, but it's a lot more boring, so I can see why they're going with this. Another thing is that I want to mention is on a previous scene, they put quite a bit of emphasis on the multiple monitors, and the fact is you only need one monitor to write malware. Most coders have two or more monitors. I personally use two. Sometimes I use a third, but for the most part, you tend to only use one or two. The emphasis that they put on to this particular one is the reason why I'm mentioning this. Normally, I wouldn't care how many monitors someone has. And lastly, the guy used two keyboards. What's up with that? As far as this movie goes, that's pretty much all it gets into as far as the hacking portion. The rest of it's mostly talking, focus on other things like action and whatever. But I figured I might as well make this video to, again, keep testing the theory if YouTube is aiming for people who wants to do more topical stuff versus how-to videos. But anyways, if you like this or whatever, let me know, and let me know why you like this. And if you want to subscribe here, go ahead and subscribe to my main channel. It's mostly just an experiment, again, to see if YouTube prefers topical videos over how-to videos, and why everybody on the education portion has been hurting a lot for the educational side videos, and why a lot of educational channels are talking about leaving YouTube.